Welcome, chess fans. Today, we're exploring how legend Mikhail Tal calculated his brilliant sacrifices to win games. Known for his daring style, let's dive into the mind of this chess genius. This match is between two super grandmasters, Mikhail Bobasoft and Mikhail Tal. Tal, playing with the black pieces, has chosen the king's Indian defense. The last move was queen to e5, aiming to open up the side of the board as much as possible, with the goal of having his pieces focus on this area and play for counterplay. His king is castled on the king side, and both players know that whoever reaches the opponent's king first, considering the opposite side castling, is likely to win. After Mikhail Bobasoft plays king to b1, a move he frequently makes, Tal responds with b5. This opens up the possibility of playing rook to b8, which could lead to capturing and opening the file, or potentially opening the diagonal. Mikhail's next move is both very interesting and incredibly strong, showcasing a common strategic theme, knight to d5. He places his knight on d5 against Mikhail Tal, putting Tal in a challenging position with several options to consider. Tal must decide, should he retreat the queen to d8 to defend the pawn? Should he move the queen elsewhere? Should he capture on d2? Or should he push the pawn to b4? What is the best move in this situation? When playing against Tal, it's essential to remember his unpredictable and brilliant style. Take a moment to think and analyze the position. Pause the video if necessary. You must even consider unconventional moves like queen takes a2, a move that might seem nonsensical at first glance. But with Tal, half man and half magician, anything is possible. In this position, it's crucial to calculate all possible moves and their consequences carefully. What would you play as black? Here's what Tal did. He picked up his piece, locked eyes with Mikhail Bobasoft, and confidently played knight takes d5. He hit the clock, folded his arms, and gave his opponent a peculiar stare. Knight takes d5 is now on the board, and incredibly, Tal is sacrificing his queen as if it were nothing. Let's break this down. Tal sacrifices his queen, worth 9 points, for a knight, worth 3 points. Next, Mikhail captures Tal's queen. Tal, in turn, gains another piece, it worth 3 points. After that, Tal gets no more significant material, as Mikhail moves his rook out of danger. Tal only manages to pick up a pawn, worth 1 point. When we total the exchange, Tal gains around 7 to 7.5 points, knight plus bishop plus pawn. However, he's still short by about 2 points compared to the full value of his queen. This material imbalance demonstrates the sheer audacity of Tal's play. He's willing to sacrifice material to gain positional compensation or create dynamic chances on the board. Since Tal sacrificed his queen, the material balance might seem uneven. However, in this position, the compensation comes from the counterplay and active piece positioning that black achieves, along with the pawns gained. If we examine white's pieces, many of them are inactive and essentially locked in place. Meanwhile, black's pieces are highly active and well coordinated. Though white's rook and knight are somewhat active, Tal's position ensures his pieces are about to come alive. Let's review the continuation. Rook takes c4, white removes the active piece. Pawn takes c4, black recaptures. Knight to c1, white maneuvers defensively. Now, moving forward in the game. Rook to b8, Tal activates his rook. Bishop to c4, white positions the bishop. Knight to b6, Tal targets the bishop, keeping his pieces active and forcing white to retreat the bishop on b3. Then Tal takes d4 pawn with the bishop, target the b2 pawn. Now white queen move to d2 protect the pawn. Tal retreat the bishop on g7. White move knight to e2. Notice how Tal consistently places his pieces on the side of the board where all the action is happening. His move c4 aims to open the file and increase activity. Even though he's on the defensive, every single move contributes to maintaining pressure and creating counterplay. This is a hallmark of Tal's brilliance, turning defense into dynamic opportunities. Observe this beautiful sequence starting with c3, preparing knight to c4 as a strong follow-up. Such a powerful plan. White responds with queen to d3, but now Tal strikes with pawn takes b2, creating dangerous weaknesses around white's king. The game continues. Knight to d4, pressuring white further. Bishop to d7, preparing to swing more pieces into the attack. Rook to d1, black rook to c8, every single piece joins the offensive, demonstrating how to attack like a true magician. Bishop to b3, followed by knight to e4, aiming for knight to c3 with a devastating check. White tries to eliminate threats, but Tal keeps the momentum. Knight to c3 check forces a response. Bishop takes, but then knight to b3 renews threats. Rook to c3, followed by queen takes a6 and bishop takes b3, keeps the pressure on. Tal's pieces create multiple threats simultaneously, including discovered attacks. If white's king captures on b2, then after a simple check recovers the queen, leaving black with decisive material. The final moves showcase Tal's brilliance. White plays queen to a3, a desperate attempt to hold the position. Tal responds with a deadly rook check. Instead of capturing with the pawn, he takes with the rook, keeping maximum pressure. After king to a2, Tal delivers a checkmate on the move, a stunning finish. What a beautiful demonstration of attacking chess and tactical genius. Next, this match is between two grandmasters, Alexei Sudin and Mikhail Tal. Grandmaster Alexei Sudin is playing with the black pieces, while Grandmaster Mikhail Tal is playing with the white pieces. In this position, the last move played here in a Sicilian defense was bishop to d7. White is playing very aggressively in this position. For example, with the move f5, the bishops are positioned as if they are ready to create threats. The center of the board is opening up, and with the king still in the center, this looks like a disastrous position for black. After the move pawn to f5, white is breaking open the center, aiming to disrupt black's position and rip apart the kingside defenses. Black responds with pawn takes f5, and white quickly follows with pawn takes f5, maintaining pressure. Next, Grandmaster Alexei Sudin plays knight to e5, attempting to centralize his pieces and potentially eliminate some of white's powerful attacking threats. Then, Grandmaster Mikhail Tal responds with the menacing move knight to e6, placing the knight in a dominant position. At this point, the position becomes incredibly intimidating for black. The presence of the knight on e6 is overwhelming, and black must consider how to deal with this immediate threat. However, capturing the knight in this manner is not a viable option, adding to the complexity of the position. Due to the pin, capturing the knight is not an immediate option. Instead, white decides to eliminate the knight by playing bishop takes c6, forcing black to respond. Black follows up with bishop takes e6, removing the knight from the board, and white immediately recaptures with pawn takes e6. Now, the position becomes explosive. The file is wide open, especially targeting the f7 square. The tension is immense, with multiple threats brewing along the open file, and black's king is under heavy pressure. Grandmaster Alexei Sudin opts for pawn to g6, attempting to push white's forces back and create breathing room. However, it is now white's move. Imagine yourself in Grandmaster. Tal didn't actually do that exact move, but what he played was even more brilliant. He went for queen takes e5, sacrificing his queen for just a knight. This wasn't a trade for two rooks or significant material, just a knight. However, this sacrifice unleashed incredible attacking opportunities, potentially even leading to a mating attack. Additionally, the move put pressure on black by threatening a rook. Black had no choice but to capture the queen. After pawn takes e5, white followed up with pawn takes f7. As the rook and pawn coordinated beautifully, now the bishops come into play, fully unleashed on the open board, ready to dominate. If black plays king to f8, white delivers checkmate in one move, ending the game decisively. If black tries to escape in another direction, they walk straight into a devastating discovered attack, which leads to a swift conclusion. According to engine analysis, the best continuation is rook takes f8, followed by king to d7. White then plays bishop to f5, delivering a powerful double check, leaving everything in black's position hanging. At this point, it might feel like white could simply remove black's queen and knight from the board. They are no longer relevant. After bishop to f5, the king moves to c6, and white follows with bishop to e4, applying more pressure. The only move black has left is knight to d5, but even that cannot save the game. After white takes the rook on a8, this position is brutal. It's an overwhelming victory for white, with material domination and an inevitable mate on the horizon. Let's just spare black the agony. This game is completely over. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then subscribe.